Hello, and welcome to a Broken Binding unboxing. This, my friends, is the Stone of Farewell by one Tad Williams, the second book in Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, and the November subscription book for the Broken Bindings Fantasy subscription. And you thought the last novel was a big boy? Here is another chunky one. But not quite as chunky as the third novel. That one's so chunky that they split it into two releases. So, To Green Angel Tower is going to be the December and January books for the Broken Binding. So there's Stone of Farewell, November 2024. Fantasy subscription. Did it say fantasy subscription on the last bookmark? I mean, it must have. I imagine they did this change back when the sci-fi subscription started, but I've never noticed it. Hope is like the belly strap on a king's saddle, a slender thing. But if it snaps, the world turns topside down. So anyways, here it is all the way across the pond. Very quick. I mean, not for me per se. I mean, we're 2/3 of the way through November. But, you know, sometimes I'm getting these the last week of November. And I know some people in the UK had this for weeks, which is wild. So let's take a look. I'm excited about this one. It's a big boy. Now, this is not going to be the fanciest edition. I will preface this by saying it's not the fanciest edition of Stone of Farewell out there. If you're looking for that, you want to look at the Grim Oak Press edition, which is sold out, but there's a link in the description below to my unboxing video of the Grim Oak edition, where you can see that in all its glory. So let's dive in. I believe this, once again, has the artwork by Jeff Brown. Yes, it does. Look at that beautiful, beautiful Jeff Brown artwork. He is getting his money. You're getting your money's worth with Jeff Brown artwork. So we have Endpaper artwork by Marc Simonetti and Peng Lu this time around. Interior artwork, of course, by Raphael Pinna. Foil design by Rachel Sinclair. So I know Simonetti had did interior or Endpaper artwork for the Dragonbone chair, but they had a different artist do the other Endpaper artwork. So that would appear to be the Simonetti on the first, Peng Lu on the back. Could be mistaken. Could have those switched. I'm just going off of the Peng Lu artwork I saw for the Greenbone Saga and the Marc Simonetti artwork that you've seen from countless titles. So this does have, of course, have interior artwork as well. Of course, with Broken Binding, you do have the glued spine, which is my biggest gripe about big, chunky boys like this, because if you were to read it, you have to be very careful so that you do not wind up with a broken binding yourself. So anyways, this is number 805 of 1500. That is my fantasy number, 805. Very pleased to have it. Signed by Tad Williams himself. Published by Hodderscape in association with Broken Binding. So this will have interior artwork, as I mentioned. Once again, like Dragonbone Chair, which I would expect nothing less, I want to kind of be in sync, you have what appears to be like the large print font. And apparently it has to do with the fact that, from my understanding, it has to do with the fact that the file they used was the paperback file, I guess. It was the paperback file, and they just resized it for the edition. So you think like a mass market, you're thinking, you know, much smaller trim size than what we're getting with the hardcover. So once it's sized up and you're just, you know, proportionally making it larger, you get fonts that looks large print. So even though it's not technically large print, it does appear so because it's based off of the file type they had gotten. One of the downsides of having the sprayed edges, which, I mean, sprayed edges looks great, by the way. I know some people had an issue with wavy swords. Thankfully, my sword is not wavy. If your sword is wavy, you should consult either a doctor, if it's a metaphysical sword, or Broken Binding, see if they can fix that for you. If it is, in fact, not a humidity issue, which I know some people said it's not a humidity issue, it's a printing issue. But one of the downsides of having the printed edges is that you can't easily see where the interior artwork is, which is a shame. So I mean, you have to look for it the old-fashioned way by actually reading your book. How dare you? Some artwork, like the Broken Binding edition, are actually tipped in plates, which is really cool. That way it can be more easily found because it's going to stand out amongst the paper stock used. Which, I mean, this paper stock's not bad. I mean, it's trade edition paper stock. I mean, that's the thing with Broken Binding is, yes, they are kind of just trade editions, but they're very fancy trade editions. And I'm not going to lie, I'm still a sucker for a fancy trade edition. There's one. You can actually see that with the side there. So there is one of Pinna's art pieces. Very cool. I mean, I like having interior artwork within my editions. It's very nice. I'm also a fan of, cloth boards and sewn spines, but hey, that would jack up the price significantly. But that's not to say that no Broken Binding editions have cloth boards and sewn spines. They actually have their own small press called TBB Press, which is the Broken Binding press, which they do exactly that. They do nicer paper quality. They do gilded page edges, cloth boards, sewn spines. They give it the works. Those books are understandably pricier than these books. I should say pricier typically than these books. I know with the shipping to the United States, the price for the whole monthly package here is about the same as the cover price for one of the TBB titles. But that is taking into account that, I am across the pond from the folks at the Broken Binding, so that does not do any favors for the shipping. For those who are in the UK or in Europe, the shipping should hopefully be cheaper. Actually, I don't know. I can't say for certain if the shipping is cheaper in Europe, because now that the UK is not in the European Union, I feel like there's a little bit of contention there. But I don't get involved with European politics because it does not affect me directly, which is a kind of heartless thing to say. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my place to be stepping on your toes. I try to follow the politics there, but I don't get into all the minutia there. We've got our own politic thing going on here in the United States, if you didn't notice. We got our own stuff going on, but, neither here nor there. So anyways, that, my friends, is Stone of Farewell by Tad Williams. Book 2, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, or Book 2 of 4, if you're going by the monthly installments here. Like I said, if you want to see a fancier edition, check out my unboxing of the Grim Oak Press title. That has a nice sewn spine, has nicer paper quality, larger trim size. I think it's a little bit larger than this. Maybe a little larger, maybe not too much larger, but a slightly larger trim size. That one, I believe, has bonded leather boards, which is a thing that Grim Oak loves to use. I'm totally fine with it. Like I said, I mean, it's nice. It's a nice edition. This, nice trade edition. Love it. I'm not complaining. I absolutely love my fancy trade editions. I have a whole shelf of Broken Binding titles I'm looking at right now. I love them. I love some stenciled edges. Speaking of which, one of the things they were talking about the stenciled edges is that it seemed, they're like, is this faded? But I think it's intentionally faded. You can almost see there's an image peeking through behind it. Dragonbone Chair was like almost just a black background behind Thorn there, where this one's slightly faded. So I think it's sort of gradiently becoming less dark or gradiently becoming lighter as the image in the background becomes more and more visible. It's almost like one of those sliders in the video games when you're adjusting like the gamma levels and the brightness, and it's like, hey, adjust it so the image is barely visible. That's what we're getting here with Stone of Farewell. So anyways, this is, like I said, not technically for sale. This is a subscription for the Broken Binding. There is a huge wait list for the subscription to get on a Tier 2, which is unsigned editions of this. And then once you're on Tier 2, you can eventually move up to Tier 1 if spots become open. It's a huge wait list. Very long wait list. So if while you're waiting, you want to just check out and live vicariously through my videos, go for it. Subscribe to my channel. I will stay on this fantasy train for as long as I can. I'm also on the bi-monthly science fiction train, so I have those to check out as well, starting with this most recent month, which is the 3 Body Problem. So I didn't get the Andy Weir trilogy. Not that it's a trilogy. The 3 Andy Weir novels, you know what I mean. But I'm on the train now, baby. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I do at least one book review a week with plenty of unboxings in between here and there. I buy plenty from the Broken Binding. I buy whatever I can afford from Grim Oak Press, which is less and less as they continue to pump out as continue to pump out novels and editions like Nick Cannon pumps out Children. It's just they're going like balls to the wall crazy with their editions. Beautiful editions, but my wallet hurts. But I buy what I can. I'm buying the Tad Williams, that's for sure. So anyways, plenty of other unboxings between here and there to keep you entertained. So thank you guys very much for watching. Check out Tad Williams. Check out The Broken Binding. Links in the description below. And we'll see you around next time.